Hey, everybody. Welcome to Social Hour. It's great to see everybody Friday night. We are live. Hello, welcome to the show. Hope everybody's had a great week since we were here last Friday. It's good to see everybody who is filtering in here to our chat to hang out with us. Better Ray Bob, welcome. Happy Friday. Tico Obi-Wan. Got a head start with Skilled Fashions and pizza for dinner. Hello, Friday. Yep, certainly. I had pizza too. That's kind of a Friday night tradition ever since I was a kid, and I've upheld it as an adult. Paul, welcome to the show. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Jason, thank you for being here very much. Appreciate all of my Patreon Cantina patrons. Jason, really appreciate your support over the years. Mary, welcome. Happy Friday. Cheers. Yeah, so cool. Name change, Cantina Social Hour. So same show, just a name change, basically. New graphic, obviously. You're still going to do the same kind of thing. Still going to have guests. So not really a whole lot changing there. So, but yes, welcome. Hello, Jurassic Dave. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in here, hanging out with me. So cool. It's been quite a week. There's been Star Wars reveals this week. Wednesday was Fan First Wednesday. There were pre-orders yesterday, and I got a few new things to show you guys. A few new things that have been coming in this week and last week too that I'm excited about. So cool. Let's see what's going on here. Better Bubba was everyone's favorite reveal this week. For me, it was the Mandalorian Super Commando. Yeah, that is a really cool one. Pico B1, been a long time coming in the custom world. That dude 5 times already. I'm happy about the Bith. Yeah, so up here on my Cantina shelf, wrong hand. Up here on my Cantina shelf, my 3 3/4 inch shelf, I have one of my 3 3/4 inch shelves. I have a diorama of the Cantina that I've been putting together since 2002 or 2003, and yeah, I have the old Cantina band from 2007, I believe, or 2008, the 30th anniversary collection, the one that came in the tin set. And I love it. You have all the instruments and everything, but it's obviously not TVC level quality like the new figure and Dan reveal is. So I'm excited for that. I'm also excited because Hasbro said that they are releasing a multi-pack later. They didn't give specifics, but they hinted that they were releasing a multi-pack later with all of the band members. So I'm excited about that. We'll talk about all the reveals here in just a little bit. Toys Are the Way. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us this evening. Hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, every time we get one of these reveal weeks, you have people that are happy and excited about the reveals and some that are maybe not so excited. There's a whole spectrum of collectors, obviously, and it's just, it's interesting to see the whole spectrum of it. But yeah, super cool to see what's new. So we'll talk about those in just a bit here. I see that Justin is in the house. How's it going, Justin? Thanks for coming in with us. So yeah, really glad to I love you guys coming in here. Thank you for hanging out with me on Friday night social hour. So yeah, why don't I start off with something that just came in. It's a new figure. It's not a new figure, but it is a newly re-released figure. This just came in today. This is the Ahsoka Tano from the Vintage Collection re-release. I haven't opened her yet, as you can see. She came from Amazon. I had a case pre-ordered of the whole wave from Entertainment Earth, but that has not processed. However, I do have Ahsoka. One thing I will note that I saw as soon as I got it out of the Amazon envelope, was that, and I don't know if this is going to come through on camera, but she actually has, yeah, it's going to be really hard for you guys to see. Maybe right there you can kind of see. She has a green saber, and then she has, her Shoto saber is yellow. That wasn't the case on the original release. The original just had 2 green sabers. And of course, eventually her Shoto was more of a yellow color. And they updated that for this figure. Other than that, it's the same figure as before. She has photoreal now. Well, why don't we just open it? We can look at it better that way. We can look at the sabers better if we just rip it out of the packaging. Sorry about that, Ahsoka. It's not the most glamorous unboxing, but we want to take a look at your sabers. Hope you don't mind. All right, so let's see. Oh, there's more tape down here. Great. Yeah, one of the fun things about these figures is the tape. Can be super, super annoying, especially if you have nails and like you're trying not to break them and get your polish rubbed off. All right, so here are the two sabers. So you can kind of see here, not so much there, but you kind of see that the little one is more of a yellow color. It's a little bit lighter. It's more noticeable in person. Trust me, it's not as obvious on camera, but it is more noticeable in person when you see them together. Like it's really obvious, like right here to me, just like one's more green and one's more yellow. Like right there, you can kind of see it. So that is cool. I didn't expect that they were going to do that. I hadn't heard anybody say that that was something that was changed. So whenever you find these things out on your own for the first time, it's always kind of cool. Always kind of cool. So toys are the way. Welcome. I miss living on the West Coast. PST for Cantina Hour. Yeah, so I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I'm thinking about making it earlier in the evening. I feel like more people tuned in when it was earlier. I've been doing it at 8 because just for me being on the West Coast, it just works out better because I'm not usually home until like 5 o'clock. And then, you know, there's dinner and stuff. And, you know, 8 o'clock just kind of seemed like the right spot for me. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. We will be doing an earlier episode in a few weeks, though. I have Dan from Toy Galaxy is going to be on the show. So we're going to do that episode a little bit earlier that evening when he's on in early May. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. Hyperspace Vault, hello, welcome. Thanks for coming in. Classic Source, hello. How do you store your Star Wars figures? I store them wherever they can fit. Wherever I can find room is how I store them. Ideally, I like to have them on the shelves, but my collection room isn't that big, unfortunately. So it's only like it's like a room. It's not like a huge room either. So most of my stuff isn't on display, actually. So I have things in tackle boxes, like figures and stuff. And I have things like in little acid-free plastic craft bags. Like Walmart actually sells some really good ones in the craft section. They're these little, like, they have like a blue and black and blue card, and they're really good little bags. They hold up over time. They don't fall apart like some do. Yeah, and then I organize those into bigger boxes. And I don't like plastic touching plastic. I don't want paint rub. I hate that. It just seeing figures, like when I see people on Instagram just load like with a box of their like Marvel Legends or Black Series or whatever, like that kills me a little bit. Like I hate seeing that. Yeah, so don't be one of those people. Paint does wear down and it does rub off onto other plastics, right? So you got to be really careful with that. But yeah, so most of them are in storage, but you know, luckily I can have a lot of things on display. Good question. I'm excited to get that card in my collection. Yeah, it's a really nice card. I know I already ripped it open, but I did not own the Vintage Collection Ahsoka because it was part of the last wave in the Vintage Collection 1.0, one of the last waves. And this card was very hard to get. The figure was really hard to get. So I didn't actually get it until they re-released it in the Walmart Black Series. And then I finally had it in the collection. But this is back in TVC. This is the way it was originally released, with the updates, of course, that I noted. But yeah, it's a pretty cool looking card. Ahsoka does look a little strange, obviously. Obviously, this predates like Clone Wars Season 7. I think Season 6 too, the Lost Missions. And Rebels, and obviously Mandalorian. So it's still pretty cool. Where did I put the actual figure, though? Oh, right here. So the actual figure, let's take a look at it. You guys are getting a review inside the live stream of sorts. here she is right there. Gonna be a little blurry, a little grainy, but you know, the photoreal looks pretty good. I can't say she looks like a ton different than the original release. I mean, it looks better, but it's not like the most noticeable like difference. Like really, like there's been updates that looks hugely noticeably better, and this is just kind of like marginally better. Better is better though, as I say. And the lightsabers, different colors is kind of cool too, though. I see what you're saying. Both mine too. Sometimes it's late for me, but that's what rewatches are for. Yeah, so that's a good thing. No matter what time no matter what time social hour is at, you guys can always rewatch it later. I like tuning into live streams live though, but that's just me. But it's cool to have the rewatches, of course. Stands or no stands? I do not like stands, generally speaking. I don't know. If a figure comes with a stand, then I'm a little more likely to use it. But for the most part, I don't really do stands. When I do, it's because the figure just cannot at all stand. That would be example. Vintage Collection General Grievous cannot stand without a stand. So I have him up here in the Munilist 10 diorama. You can't see him because it's dark, but he is with a stand because he can't stand without a stand. I'm going to say that all night. Stand without a stand. And it's one of the Mayfec stands, so it's really good. It grabs around his waist and he stays up. So if the figure really needs a stand, even the Black Series, I have with a very similar stand, Grievous, because he won't stand without the stand. Make that a hashtag, stand without a stand, or stand with the stand. Yeah, so, but generally speaking, I don't buy like generic stands to put on my figures because I like to see like them just, a figure should be able to stand. That's like one of the most basic criteria of any action figure, no matter who the company is. If your figure does not stand, then you have a major problem with your engineering. Don't look in my room. Don't worry, we won't. Don't look in mine. I won't look in yours. Face looks good. She looks pretty good. Again, not like hugely better, but a little better. Two-part question: between Star Wars Hot Toys, the Black Series, and TVC, which is your favorite? If you could only collect one, which would it be? You're going to do this to me, are you, Paul? Honestly, the Vintage Collection would be the one that I would, if I could only collect one, it'd be TVC. That is the line I started off with back in '96 when I started collecting the modern Star Wars line. And if I had to give up if I had to give up any of those, it'd be Black Series. I'm not even as into Black Series as I used to be. You know, I used to really like it, but in the last couple of years, you guys tell me what's happened. So yeah, TVC is definitely the bread and butter of my collection. I love the vehicles. I love the world building. I love the play sets. I love all the interactivity, all these things. And nothing can replace that. You know, Hot Toys, as beautiful as they are, and I love my Hot Toys, I would never give them up if I didn't have to. Nothing can replace the history of the 3 3/4 inch basic line. Nothing. And that's one of the cool things about it, is that you have this evolution going back from the Kenner days when the figures look so unlike the figures in the characters in the movies that they had to put a photo of the character on the card. Over time, obviously, they got better. They made innovations, and now figures look better than they ever have in this scale. And that's just one of the awesome things about the Vintage Collection and the 3 3/4 inch scale is that you know, figures look this good. Now I know there's duds here and there, and sometimes there are misses, and sometimes there's repacks that shouldn't be repacks because they're from 2007 or whatever. But you know, it's still it's a comforting scale. I think that more than anything else, it feels familiar and it's comforting. If you're having a bad day, you can just go over to your shelf and look at your diorama of I don't know, the TIE Fighter in the X-Wing, or the Navarro Cantina play set, or whatever it is, and just look at those figures and move them around and pose them, change things up. You can't do that so much with Hot Toys. I mean, you can kind of manipulate. I'm scared to touch my Hot Toys. Like, honestly, I know they're pretty durable, all things considered, but I'm just kind of afraid to even mess with them because I don't want to do anything wrong. I don't want to drop them. So they're just kind of in their cases, and they're kind of there. Black Series, They're 6 inches. Some of them look great. But I don't know that I would ever. Yeah, you just can't world build with Black Series. I mean, you could buy. I like the small things that they've done. The dewback's cool. Ray Speeder was cool. The Land Speeder, but anything bigger than that, like even the Snow Speeder, was kind of a little pushing it. The TIE Fighter was definitely pushing it. It's all about, for me, like replicating what I love about the movie or the show, and I can do that with the vintage collection. I can't do that with anything bigger than that. So, good question. Toys are the way. Would have been interesting if they 100% updated the portrait on that Ahsoka, similar to Shea Vizsla. Yeah, Shea Vizsla looks incredible. And we'll look at her in just a little bit here. She looks awesome. Like whoa. Like she's hot. She looks great. Justin, oh my God, I don't even have a peg hole to stand. Yeah, some figures, okay. So this is the other thing about stands. I'm sure, as you guys know, there is no universal peg hole size anymore. A battle droid peg hole compared to an astromech droid peg hole compared to a General Grievous peg hole compared to a Stormtrooper peg hole is not going to match. So it's really hard to find universal stands that'll fit everything. And that's part of the reason I don't like things to not match. I'm just too OCD, so I don't want to have like. I just like it to be minimalistic. Honestly, I don't put like extra stuff in my scenes that I don't need to. I just like to have them on a shelf. I like to recreate scenes. I don't need like dirt and sand and like backgrounds and all that. I just want to have it like there. The rest I can fill in with my imagination. But stands, once you start mixing up different kind of stands, it just doesn't look the same. I stand with stands. There you go. Hasbro Jurassic World line. Yep, terrible. Glad it's gone. Supersaurus Rex. Yo. Thanks for hanging out with me this evening. Oh, geez, my Grievous falls all the time, which is brutal because I don't like stands either. Yeah, stands. Again, it's case by case, but by and large, stands I don't use because usually I don't have to, thankfully. REM stands. TVC is the way. TVC is the way, baby. Jason, you can fit more in your pockets if you're on the run. Yeah, if you're taking photos of your figures and you're out on the run, smaller figures are easier to take. Truth. I don't know what that was referring to exactly, but cool. Hyperspace. Well, what did you think of the Black Series and TVC reveals this week? Other than Saw, reveals were pretty disappointing. TVC had some great reveals. Yeah, we'll look at some pictures in a little bit and we'll talk about all those. I do have some thoughts for both scales. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Legacy scale. Yeah, totally. TVC is the legacy scale. Long live the vintage collection. Absolutely. Make that a hashtag. Alex, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. I love 3 3/4. Well, then you're in the right place, Super Source. Paul, you're welcome. LBG Electric Dino, welcome. That's a very sweet compliment. Thank you. Too kind. Really, too kind. 3 3/4 is the best. It is. I just don't want things to fall over. Gravity, right? This world we live in on Earth, gravity, come on. What is that about? I agree. Cool. Albert, hello. I hear a lot of people complain about the Black Series and their issue with exclusives. Prices rise, but Black Series has all the same issues. TVC has all the same issues. Both lines need to improve their practices. Yeah, it's, there's not one like clear-cut answer for this. And that's the thing about, I think, a lot of people, what I've seen on social media, a lot of people will assume Hasbro sucks. They're doing this wrong. They're, all they need to do is change this one thing and then everything's going to be amazing. And that's just not the way it works. There's so many variables in play, in manufacturing, in design, in R&D, in terms of economics, what is financially viable? What are budgets like? Does something fit into the budget? If it doesn't fit into the budget, what do you sacrifice in order to make something else work? There's so many variables that there's not one like just blanket answer for everything. And I think that's one of the things that frustrates me because, I follow this closely, obviously. And it's just a little frustrating to see when people think there's one clear-cut answer for everything. And I'm not saying that's what Albert's saying here. I'm just an observation that I've noticed about other people saying here. But yeah, are there genuinely issues that need to be resolved? Yeah, totally. Black Series, yes. Vintage Collection, yeah. That's just the honest truth. There are things that could be better and should be better. There are choices that don't always make sense. There are things that need to be rectified. I mean, we're all here talking about this stuff because it comes from a place of passion. It comes from a place of, you know, nostalgia and love for this stuff, you know. And I think most collectors have their heart in the right place, and they're in it for the right reasons. But I think sometimes the minutia of the hobby and the behind the scenes nature of the hobby can go over people's heads a little bit. But the good thing is, you know, the information is out there. And, you know, even myself, I'm still learning things. I worked in the toy industry for 4 years, and I'm still learning things about it. And I know that things that may have been true 10 years ago aren't necessarily true now. So things change, and, you know, it just takes, you know, a little bit of learning. Thank you for bringing that up. Mary, I don't like stands. Certain figures require a little help, so I use some blue tack. Blue tack is a good tactic. No pun intended. TVC is the way. Oh, yeah. I got big dioramas, just don't have room in my home anymore. Yeah, I got to prioritize, honestly, because I have so many. I would love to set up dioramas for everything. I'd love to set up a Death Star diorama. I'd love to set up a Rebel Alliance diorama, but I kind of have to prioritize my favorite scenes in Star Wars. And that's really easy for me. Jabba's Palace, the Cantina, you know, the sail barge, the Razor Crest now, the Tana V4, anything Clone Wars related, clones and droids. I love all that. Paul, I wish Hasbro didn't bring the thigh cut into their 3 3/4 line. That's one of the joints that really disrupt the sculpt. I would say that ab crunches are even worse. With what we've seen with figures like the new Bo-Katan in Vintage Collection, it's pretty well integrated into the sculpt. If you look at older figures like the Death Star Gunner, if you look at things even like the Mithril, they have that older style hip joint, which are terrible. Yeah, the thigh cut on those is more noticeable. But overall, I would say that ab crunches are a little bit more unsightly. That's not to say I would give them up. That's just to say that aesthetically they disrupt the flow of the sculpt a little more. Milky Way Skywalker, howdy. Hello, friend. Thanks for coming in. For my Star Wars collection, I use stands. I hate the domino effect that happens if I don't. See, so that's, you know, that's one of the things too, is that it's really case by case. The worst to me was always Black Series, because if you have one Black Series that falls over and they're within proximity to each other, you're going to have an avalanche. And so that's always been the trickiest one for me. But by and large, yeah, I avoid stands if I can. If I can help it, no stands for me. Man, are the TVC TIE Fighter ticking bomb needed? Okay. The most recent Vintage Collection TIE Fighter does need help. It needs support. I've seen some collectors say they took the springs out of the wings and it doesn't do that self-exploding thing, which is really a bad design. The Empire really needs to go back and analyze their TIE Fighters if they're self-exploding. Come on. But there are other TIE Fighters that didn't have that issue, so I don't know why that one does. I don't know if they changed the springs so that they're a little more springy. And that's why it's having the issue. I couldn't say, but it's certainly an issue with that tie. It's worse than any of the other ties in terms of that issue. It looks gorgeous, but again, you got to balance aesthetics with functionality. I always say, you know, for me, the most important thing with the figure is how it looks. But at the same time, if you're going to give your figure or your vehicle features or articulation, you need to make concessions in there in order to make the whole thing functional. If a figure can't stand but looks gorgeous, that's a problem. If your TIE Fighter looks gorgeous but self-explodes, that's an issue. So, you know, little things like that aren't impossible, I think, to adjust. And I'll use the Vintage Collection Boba Fett from last year. Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, long-awaited figure. Very exciting announcement. I have a hard time getting him to stand. His feet are tiny. Of course, he's got the rocket pack, which kind of weighs him back a little bit. Or is it jetpack? I don't even know. It weighs him back a little bit. So that's part of it. But the thing is, for me, the main thing is that the feet are tiny. This is a situation where even though that may be screen accurate, a concession should have been made to elongate the foot or make it just a little bit bigger so that the figure could stand. That's just the nature of action figures, right? If it's going to be an action figure, and it's going to be dynamic and posable, it needs to, you got to make concessions sometimes in order to service functionality. That's just the way. I thought I saw like a glow behind me. Did anybody see a glow, or is that just me? That's creepy. Paul, I wish Hasbro didn't bring the thigh cuts. Yeah, so I saw your comment earlier about that. Yeah, it just depends. I don't mind it generally speaking, though. Kids I have some, and out of the bunch, only one buys or wants analog toys. I buy more toys than my kids. It's a big change. Yeah, so I think it's in our DNA, honestly. Collectors, myself included, like, I love toys because I've been collecting toys ever since I was like little, like this. Like, I was never that little, I don't think. Or maybe I was at one point. But it's in our DNA, basically. You've been doing it long enough, it just becomes part of who you are, I think, part of your identity. And for me, that's I've been buying toys since I was little, all kinds of toys, not just action figures. I mean, there were dolls and other stuff too that I still like, but my attention was more on the stuff that was interactive and creative and look cool. Easy as that, but it is in our DNA for sure. VC, were you able to pre-order your TVC reveals? I missed out though on Chewbacca, the prototype, because I was at work. I missed it. And it didn't last long enough. Yes, exactly. My frustration comes from a passion for the line and the desire to see it thrive. Yeah, and I think that's any collector that is in it for the love of the hobby, wants to see things get better and improve and become more and more awesome. Vintage collection is in a place that it hasn't been in ever. 3/4 inch in terms of design aesthetics, in terms of articulation, is better than it's ever been. And I think that's thanks in part to the awesome people at Hasbro that behind the scenes, like Sam Smith, who was on Star Wars a few years back, and Emily, who is now in a very similar, if not the same role, doing amazing things at Hasbro for this line that we all love. Yeah, but we want to see things get better, but when there's little things that are kind of annoying, I think it is good for us to point them out. And I'll always use like the Endor Leia from last year as an example, because that should never have been brought back. And I think that's one issue that I do see with Hasbro in the original 96 is they see the need to finish the 96. And I know we all want to see them finish the 96. But the thing is, finishing the 96 shouldn't just be like a checkbox thing. It should be creating definitive versions of those original 96 characters so that you never, ever, ever have to go back and do them again. That Endor Leia is not representative of that. She should have been redone from the ground up. Instead, they took a figure from 2006 or 7, and they gave her a new head sculpt, and they redid her soft goods, and she does look better. But I use mine on the speeder bike, and she doesn't have like wrists, so her elbows are like permanently like that. So again, finishing the 96, it's really got to be definitive versions of the original 96, not just ticking off a checkbox and saying it's done, because I don't think any TVC collector really believes that that's what finishing the original 96 is about. Supersaurus, I started to use a rotation of diorama displays. 2 of my shelves, I plan to switch up every once in a while. That's what I do. I rotate my displays. I just did that with some of these shelves behind me. And it's funny because as soon as I finish, then I end up starting over and going back to the first shelf and reworking things. It's just a non-ending thing because I can't just take one day out of my schedule and redo the shelves. I have to like do it over like the period of like weeks and months because it's just It's a lot of work, and I don't have a lot of free time is the thing these days. I'm just really busy. Absolutely agree that the ab cut is the worst, second only to the individual finger joints in the old Marvel Legends. My problem with the thigh cut is it's such a large muscle, so if there's any definition in the muscle group, the cut looks awful. That's true. So if you're talking about things like X-Men or Marvel Legends, you know, where you have more muscular figures, yeah, I can see that for sure. Glad I had a nice friend give me that vintage tie. I was so angry with those springs. Yeah. His backpack has jets. He's Boba the Fett. Is it jetpack or jet backpack or rocket pack? I always call it the rocket pack. I believe it's jetpack. I always say the rocket pack. I don't know why. I just do. It's a rocket. He uses it as a rocket. Any insight on if Hasbro will ever do a series of Star Wars Squadrons 3 3/4? Man, I'd love some female TIE pilots. I'm trying to think back to the Legacy collection, because they did do several Toys R Us exclusive packs that had Rebels and Imperials, and I'm trying to remember if they did anything like that. I don't remember female TIE pilots. I'd have to go back and look. Would they do that now? Maybe as an exclusive if it made sense, but I don't think they would put that in the main line at all. I picked up a bunch of TVC TIE Fighters at Walmart a few years ago on clearance for $5. Whoa. I sent several to collectors in other countries that couldn't get that release. That's a stand-up thing to do. Yeah. Sometimes you got to do that. I mean, I mean, that's the good thing about this community as well, is that there's a lot of awesome people in it. And, you know, I've found a lot of helpful people in this community that have helped me out personally. And, you know, I've returned the favor by, you know, helping them out. And occasionally I've shipped things internationally. But that's what I think, you know, good collectors do. They look out for other collectors. Rolando, welcome. Thanks for joining us there. Better Ray Bob. Now that TVC figures are starting to get ball socket joints, the line is getting even better for sure. Those new hips, like on Bo-Katan, are amazing. They're amazing. I want to see those on figures they've already updated. That's not a priority for me, but if they ever were to go back and, let's say, redo Jabba's Palace Luke or Yak Face or I don't know, Stormtrooper, I would like to see them use those joints. Again, not a priority for me because those figures are amazing. But if they did, that's really the only thing you could do to make them even better at this point. Lots of great comments in here, you guys. Thank you so much for all the questions and everything. Really appreciate it. And we'll come back to them in just a second. I do want to take a look at some of the reveals from this week. So I'm going to head over to banthaskull.com. One of my favorite resources on the interwebs for Star Wars action figures. I think Bantha Skull is the number one resource for the vintage collection in terms of news, in terms of coverage, in terms of op-eds. I just think that Bantha Skull is like the cream of the crop in terms of TVC coverage and like the opinions that those guys give, Chris and Brett. Their articles, you know, they have an exquisite understanding of how action figure collecting works, what the economics behind the scenes are of Star Wars action figures, history of the line. And when you combine all of those things, that's a recipe for an amazing site. And, you know, the hard work these guys put into their site, you know, it's definitely the cream of the crop in terms of collector fan sites. All right, let's take a look here. All right, so Bantha Skull has posted images of all of these awesome reveals, and there's quite a few things to take a look at here. I guess the first thing we should look at is we'll go back a few days. The Vintage Collection Figure and Dan was showcased. So this is the first thing we got to take a look at earlier in the week, and this is really cool. The one issue I have with it, and I know that this has been mentioned by other collectors, is that there is some reuse with the figure, and that's not a bad thing. I think reuse, if it makes sense, it's fine. When people say, "Oh, it's a repaint," or "It's a retool," or "It uses that figure's legs and arms," I don't really care as long as the figure looks good, it makes sense, and maybe they use that extra money to give me an extra accessory or more articulation. I'm okay with it. In this case, they gave the figure the Death Star gunner's legs, and it has cargo pants now, which obviously isn't really accurate. If you look at images from the scene, or you go back and watch the scene, if you look at costume images from behind the scenes, it doesn't have cargo pants. So that's my only real gripe with it. But I will say that just the fact that this is coming into the vintage collection, like, this is the best possible card back imaginable for this figure. It's not a digital render. It's not concept art. It's directly taken. It's a still from the film. It's a behind the scenes photo too, possibly. It looks awesome. This is a perfect, like, I feel like it's very rare that they do perfect cards in the vintage collection. This is a perfect card. I cannot imagine the card being any better than this. And I love the dark green name pill and background, because that's a color we don't really see very often these days, and it is a very classic Kenner color. And I am very detail oriented when it comes to these figures and the cards, and I feel like this one, they really nailed it here. So I think it looks really cool. I think it looks really cool. I'm going to share another resource here. Yeah, this is exciting. I mean, even if it's not 100%, it's good enough for me. I am completely content with what they've done here. I mean, I just think it looks freaking awesome. Again, that card is just perfect. You could not design a better card for this figure. You really could not. Man, I cannot wait for the multi-pack they hinted at. I cannot wait. With all the instruments. Maybe it'll be like an army builder pack, and it'll be that white box with all the figures and the accessories. I think that'd be really cool. I think that would be really, really cool. Yeah, this is great, you guys. It's awesome we're getting that. Looks so good. So good. Other reveals from Fan First Wednesday. Going to Fan First Wednesday now. There was quite a bit of stuff. Quite a bit of stuff for the Vintage Collection and Black Series. We'll focus first on the Vintage Collection here. Again, these come from banthaskull.com. So ARC Trooper Jesse is being packaged into TVC. So this was one of the figures that came in the 3-pack. It was a it was a PulseCon exclusive a couple of years ago. And great set, awesome figures in it, great new sculpts. And this is the last figure to make its way into TVC that was part of that pack. So I really I appreciate them. It was a very rare pack. It was hard to get, and not many people had access to it. So I'm glad that they've been releasing these figures one-on-one. And this makes sense. Clones always do well. Clones always sell through. Anything Clone Wars is gold. See, the thing is that any kids that grew up in 2008 with the Clone Wars, 2009, 2010, they're now older. They now have the disposable income in some cases to throw money at Star Wars. Even if you were 15 years old in 2008 watching the Clone Wars, you're going to be closer to 30 now. So, you're going to have more disposable income, and you're going to be able to invest more in this. So this is cool to see. This looks awesome. One thing I will note, and I think it was true on the other ones too, is that all the clones have that same card color, like the name pill's yellow. I don't, it looks good, but I kind of would like to see a little more variation. And maybe this is a different yellow than the other ones. Maybe the other ones are more gold yellow. But that is one thing that I would mention there. But this was a great figure if you got the 3-pack. I'm fortunate enough to have 3-pack, and I really like these clones. And yeah, it's cool they're coming back, and they do well, like I said, and they also sell through. So don't sleep on any of these repacked ARC Troopers when they come out. Again, Figure and Dan. Awesome. Look at that card. You could not do a better card for that figure. This is probably this is probably the most exciting one for me, if I'm honest. I freaking love Donald Glover as Lando. He is amazing, and I cannot wait for the Disney Plus series. And I've mentioned for a while now, hey, if they just took that older Lando and repainted him, you could get that Lando from the end scene in Solo: A Star Wars Story. Here he is. And what's interesting about this is that he comes on a Battlefront 2 card because he is gaming greats. For me, ideally, he would be on a solo card. The thing is, if he was on a solo card, I don't think they would be able to slot him into the main line because it's budgeted as one of these gaming greats figures as an exclusive. And Gaming Greats has a very specific purpose to cater to gaming figures. And that's what this figure is doing. It's a Gaming Greats figure. It's from a video game, in this case, Battlefront 2, even though we know in our heart of hearts that it's from Solo: Star Wars Story. And, I don't think it would have made it the cut into the main line. It's more obscure. It's not a mainline look for him. He only wears this in the last couple minutes of the movie. So I'm okay with it ultimately. Yeah, solo card would have been better, but I understand, the whole behind the scenes of that. But yeah, figure looks good. I've heard a few people say he looks like Elvis. He kind of does with that cape and the swagger and the Hawaiian shirt. I always called this Hawaiian shirt Lando because it's just, that almost looks like he's wearing a Hawaiian lei on him, doesn't it? Yeah, it's cool. This is going to be really cool, you guys. I love the last Lando they did. It's a repaint, and it's not 100% because there's some differences in the scarf and the collar. And I heard that maybe the back of the figure isn't actually painted, the back of his shirt. But, I get it. Not everything can be 100% all the time. A little earlier, we were talking about Shea Vizsla. She was available in TVC 1.0. Very hard to get. One of the last, if not the last wave. Mostly available online, if not only available online. And she's back. And this is one of the ones that has pulled very highly when Hasbro has asked, what figures should come back into TVC when fan sites have asked for repaints. What should come back and be reissued. And they went a step further with this one. It's not like Ahsoka where they just repainted the lightsabers and the face. They actually sculpted a gorgeous brand new head sculpt on her, and she looks amazing. Look at that. That head sculpt just looks so realistic. Beautiful. Whoa. So they took a good figure and made it even better. And I'm one that I have most everything in the 3 3/4 inch line from since 96. Most everything. I don't have the original Shea Vizsla release. Again, it was very hard to get that wave, and I missed it. So for me, this is a really cool release, especially because I'll be able to add her to my collection, and she'll look better than ever. Just look at how dynamic this is. This is incredible. This looks incredible. I'm glad that they took the approach they did, gave her that new head sculpt. Of course, like I always say, TVC figures look better than they ever have. And the interchangeable head here is really a nice option too. So might be one of those that's worth picking up a couple of just so you have extra display options. She looks great. Let's talk about, let's keep going with basic figures. So here is the Mandalorian Death Watch Airborne Trooper. So if you've seen the Clone Wars, these Mandos are a big part of that series. We had a similar release to this based on the Mandalorian season 1 from that was announced last year and should be coming out fairly soon. So this is based on the Clone Wars. It's painted differently. The closest thing we have in this color palette is from that multi-pack that Hasbro did, I think in like 2012 or so, somewhere around there, 2011, somewhere in that time frame, that came with several Death Watch Mandos for the Clone Wars animated line. Um, and I have that pack, and I have the Mandalorian shuttle, but I have it with those animated figures, and I love those figures. They're great. But as soon as I get these, I'm going to replace them all with this because this is even better. I'm just going to need Pre Vizsla to finish off that scene. So I hope we get Pre Vizsla at some point. But yeah, this is cool. And you know, for me, I love anything Mandalorian. I always have. Boba Fett's always been a super cool, like looking character to me. And this looks cool. The coloring on this is really nice. It definitely matches the animation more than the Death Watch Mando from Mandalorian does. So this is a really nice looking figure. I'm really stoked about this. I'm really excited about this. Only thing I would say, and you know, I'm trying to figure, because if you look at the guns here, the two weapons that he's holding, they look small, right? Like they look like pistols, but then in this picture, it looks, is that a different gun? It's a different gun. It looks like the same gun, but blown up to Black Series size, which they did do a Black Series figure with that gun. So is that all that is? I don't know, because then would it fit in its hand? It looks good though. Card art looks all right. It's not the greatest looking card art, but that's kind of what they've been doing for Clone Wars. If you look at like the new 501st Trooper that's just going to be coming out soon, the card art looks very animated. So I think that Hasbro is taking more of an animated approach on cards for the Clone Wars than they did before, which, you know, depending on your tastes might be a good or a bad thing. So somebody mentioned earlier the Mandalorian Super Commando Captain. So yeah, the Mandalorian. This is really cool. This is another cool one. I don't know how many of these I need though, because I'm trying to remember how many of these were in the Clone Wars. I know that in season 7, there was only like one of them really. So I'm trying to remember how many of like just these generic Mandalorians there were. If you know, let me know in the comments, please, in the chat, because I'm really not sure. But I only pre-ordered a couple because I didn't want to overdo it on these ones. I just wasn't sure how many I was going to need. But I mean, they look amazing. Look at that. That belt looks great too. The belt, it just has such a like Clone Wars look to the belt. It looks great, you guys. I'm stoked. Yeah, this is a really cool one too. Super cool. We're going to stick still with 3 3/4, and we're going to talk about the Retro Collection Chewbacca. So Prototype Edition. So this is the 4th one. They did Darth Vader was the first one and the easiest one to get, I believe, online anyway. Never saw it in stores. Then they did the Stormtrooper, or no, Boba Fett. And Boba Fett was, I never saw that in stores either. I missed out online. And then the Stormtrooper, same thing. I never saw it in stores or got it online. Collectors were nice enough to help me out with those two. Vader's the only one I was able to order online, and I got a couple of those. I missed Chewbacca because, like I said earlier, I was at work, and when you're at work, you got to work. And so I missed out, unfortunately. I'm really bummed that I missed out on Chewie, but you know, I'm not too worried because, again, I know there's some amazing people in this community, and I'm sure somebody will hopefully be able to help me out at some point. But yeah, so, you know, I expected this to continue. I know Yakface mentioned that this was coming. So this makes sense. They're going to continue that. They sell well, they do well. I think they said there's 6 variations. The biggest complaint I have about the retro collection is those variations, and I'll tell you why. It's not so much that I personally mind the fact that the variations exist. It's more the fact that collectors go and scalpers too go and buy all 6 variations. So if the store gets a case of 6 and they put them on the shelf, a collector comes in and says, oh, there's all 6 variants, and buys them, the store's probably not going to get another shipment of them, and everybody else is SOL. So that's my biggest issue with these is that the variants, as cool as they are, end up being a pain in the neck because they incite collectors to they make us want to get them all in. I've never gone all in on these variants for prototype collection. I've only ever tried for one carded and one loose. But you know, scalpers and collectors see them and they're like, oh, I got to get them all. And you know, I'm usually like that, but retro, I'm not like that. So that's the only thing that I can really say I don't like about these is that they do that. They are cool though. If you are able to get them all and put them side by side, if you're brave enough to open them like that, it is a pretty cool little, you can do potentially some really nice artwork like that, like put them on a background with the background or something. I'm thinking like Andy Warhol type art you could do with that. All right, so we're going to talk about the most disappointing reveal from the other day. And yeah, I was really let down by this. I was really, really let down by this one. This is the most like snooze fest army building pack that they've ever come out with so far. You can't win them all. Okay, so I totally get that, but this one just bums me out because there's some really little things you could do here to make this a must-have. I actually did not pre-order this set, and I'm 100% a completist with TVC. 100% completist with TVC. I did not buy this set. I probably won't. I don't have plans to. And so the thing is, we've had these figures time and time again in recent years. You could get them through Walmart when they had the 3 3/4" Black series. You could get them in the vintage collection a couple years ago. You could get them in the current Navarro Cantina. We've had plenty of opportunities to get these guys, and they didn't change anything about them. Like, one thing that would have made me buy this pack, is that they took off, at least on some of them, the little flashlight scope on the helmet. Because most of the Death Troopers in Rogue One, in The Mandalorian, I don't think any in The Mandalorian actually had the scope on them. If they would have made that one change, and even if it only came where 2 of these figures had the scope and 2 did not, I would have bought it because that would have made me buy it. But they didn't change anything here. They didn't change anything here. And that's really frustrating. The weapons are the same. In Rogue One, they used like a longer rifle. My friend Tyler of SWTVC posted something the other day about that, and he showed the pictures of the different guns they use. So that's kind of a frustrating one. Yeah, and I mean, I hate to say it, but this is probably the first thing since the vintage collection came back in 2018 that I'm going to pass on. Just because I have no use for these. I have plenty of Death Troopers, and there's nothing different about them. Nothing. There's no incentive for me to get this at all. I wish there was a reason for me to need it and to want it, but it's just really like a snooze fest. I mean, I have all of these. I have these weapons. I have these versions of them. Like, there's just nothing different. There's nothing different there, and that really bums me out. That really does. So yeah, easily the most disappointing of the reveals. I know some of you collect Black Series, so let's go ahead and go over the Black Series. There were a few things here. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything. There were a few Black Series reveals. So they're doing more of the gaming greats for Republic Commando. So here's Sev. I'm glad that they're doing these. These are cool. I will buy these because I do like, I remember when that game came out, and I will buy these because, like I said, I'm more selective these days with Black Series, but these I will get because they're cool. There is this more of these comic figure sets. So we have Infinity's Vader. This one was done in 3 3/4 in a comic pack. I think he came with Leia, and it looks cool. My friend Dave, Jurassic Dave, was saying earlier, we were chatting, and he said that now that this is coming out, he's going to need to get it because it needs to go with this prototype Boba Fett, the white one, and also the white General Grievous, just so you have like all the villains like in white, I guess. So that's kind of a neat idea. I like that. I didn't pre-order these figures, these Black Series. I don't know if I'm going to get them or not, but there's a Leia. Leia actually looks pretty cool. She has Padme Amidala's scarf. I think the head is the Bespin Escape Leia, and she actually looks pretty cool. Like this looks like an outfit. Like if Star Wars was like the original trilogy was made today, I kind of feel like this is what Leia might look like. Like if A New Hope was made today, I feel like this is what she would look like. It looks cool. I mean, I could see myself maybe getting this just because it looks neat, but as of yet, I've not budged on it. This one was kind of a weird one, Sergeant Creel, because the figure is like, if you look at like, I'm not really familiar with the character, but when the rumors came out that this is probably going to be coming, and I looked him up, like he always looked like a really like big buff, like stormtrooper, really muscular, really bulky. And the figure is kind of like Black Chrysanthemum in the sense that it's just a stormtrooper, I think. Like they didn't really like add any bulk to it. I don't think it's as bad as Black Chrysanthemum because we all know how people felt about that, but it's kind of like that because they didn't really like size him up or anything, you know? I mean, it looks cool. I just don't think that I need this. The lightsaber looks cool. I like how vibrant it looks in these pictures. But again, it's really doesn't really follow too closely the way the character looks like in a lot of the comic art for that character. And then Saw Gerrera, this is a deluxe figure. This one I will get. This one we need in the vintage collection too. So if anybody is watching that has any sway there, we need Saw Gerrera in TVC. And we need Baze Malbus in TVC, and we need Bodhi Rook in TVC. Thinking of Jaws in TVC. This one looks good though. I like the way that he looks. He looks really nice. Yeah, and yeah, this is a good looking figure. I hope that the TVC one is just as good. Last thing that was revealed was this Trapper Wolf helmet. Honestly, I don't know how this is going to do. The Mando helmet did well. The Boba helmets did well. The Stormtrooper helmet sold through. Vader helmet. The Kylo Ren helmet is ridiculously expensive. It's hundreds upon hundreds of dollars, like sealed. So Trapper Wolf seems like a strange choice. I almost felt like you'd see other characters before Trapper Wolf, but yeah, I do buy some of the helmets. This one I don't need. You know, I bought Luke's version. That was enough for me. I don't need Trapper Wolf's helmet. But if you like Trapper Wolf, then there you go. If I could pick one thing to say that it was the standout for me personally, I would probably say, like I mentioned that this is my favorite thing that they announced, is Lando from Solo. But I think that even though this isn't perfect, Figrin Dan might take the top spot. I know it was technically announced the day before. Shea Vizsla looks great also, and the Mandos look great too. Overall, these were great reveals. These were really great reveals overall. Other than that Death Trooper pack, which again, so unfortunate. But everything else I was really pleased with. I really like the way everything else is shaping up, and I'm excited. It's just a bummer we have to wait till next year. I think it's the estimate for some of these. So, oh well. Smash that like, nerds. Yeah, smash that like. Thank you, Pico B1. Yes, please do. It'll make nonsensical content like this more visible to other people that may not be aware of it. Maybe they're not aware of it is a good thing, but yeah, definitely. So I'm just going to look back here through the comments and see what we've gotten since I last took a look. Oh, wow. Lots of stuff in here, you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. All right, let's see. Super Source Rex is following up to a question from earlier. All the TIE pilots released at the time were male. Some had clone heads. A few were specific characters like Biggs. I remember Biggs. Biggs had the open visor, which wasn't, I don't think, accurate because it was in the comic like that. But my understanding was it was in the comic like that because the artist wanted you to see his expressions, not because he actually didn't have like goggles covering his eyes. But yeah, thanks for the reminder about that figure. Battery Bob says there is a female rebel pilot among calamari, but I don't remember her name. I would love to see a 3 3/4 inch proper lay. Andor lay was such a letdown, and ESB releases were okay. I really hope we get a definitive A New Hope. That's the one. That is the one, you guys. We need A New Hope characters to be definitive. They cannot use any reuse from any previously existing figures, because the ones that have come out so far are nowhere near definitive. They can, Endor Leia was a disappointment. Endor Han was a huge disappointment. The A New Hope original trilogy classic 1977 figures need to be perfect. They need to be perfect. When we finally get that A New Hope, Luke, Han, Leia, Ben Kenobi announcements, they need to be perfect. There cannot be any reuse. They need to be from scratch, 100% to 2022 TVC Vintage Collection standards. They got to be definitive. They really, really do. Really, really do. Who's at the top of your finish, the 96? I would say, like I was just saying, the A New Hope characters at this point. There's others I would like to see. Hammerhead needs to be definitive. Greedo, I'm pretty content with. I think you could just put him on a TVC card and he'd be fine. That's a really good figure. I don't really see any need to update that figure. It's kind of a case-by-case basis. I don't want to say that just because a figure is old, it should not be in TVC. That's not the case at all. I don't want to make it seem like that's what I'm trying to say. What I mean is that it has to be a case-by-case basis. If you take certain Cantina aliens from 2005, the post-original trilogy collection, things like Mayo, things like Feltapern Travag, things like Mila Sonith, I think might have been in there. Those would work today. You don't need to update those. Those would work today. They can sit. They got maybe the swivel elbows can be changed out, but they can sit. They have ball hinges at the knees, at the shoulders, for the most part. So those would work fine. But a main character, an original 96 like Leia, Endor Han, just will not work because they're so visible. And because we know those characters so well, and we know what other more minor figures look like in this day and age, that, you just can't do that with those classic beloved characters. They need to be definitive. And that's why I'm saying A New Hope figures cannot be, just halfway done figures using parts from a long time ago. They need to be definitive. And to do that, you got to make them incorporate the standards of today for TVC, not the standards of 15 years ago. Dodgson, what's up? How is it going? Good to see you here. Keys to Benz, good to see you again. Do you feel like Hasbro is trying to kill Black Series like they tried to kill 3 3/4 inch? No. I don't think so. I do think that TVC is getting more focus than it used to, and I'm, as a TVC like traditionalist hardcore person who does indulge into Black Series from sometimes, quite a bit of the time, I'm okay with that. But I do understand and realize that there was a lot of fans of the Black Series, and even though it's not the original scale, it has been around almost 10 years, and it has developed its own following. It has developed its own fan base. People that only collect Star Wars figures because of the Black Series. People like that. I think that I don't think Hasbro is trying to kill it. I think that those people are deserving of more releases. There wasn't a whole lot released last year for Black Series. We know what happened with the Rancor. The Black Series is tricky, though, because you don't have the world building of TVC. So it is a more character-focused figures, and that's why I think every character that is released in Black Series needs to be a slam dunk. Things like Black Chrysanthemum, collectors that are buying collector-focused figures of characters without the vehicles, without the play sets, need those characters to be done correctly the first time. That's not to say they need to be, that they're ever going to be perfect, because a lot of the time that's never going to be the case. But there has been a decline, I would say, in offerings for the Black Series. There has been some issues with quality, and that's not all figures. I think they're doing some amazing things in Black Series still, but Hasbro isn't trying to kill it. I mean, they're in business to make money. They're in business to sell figures to us. There's a lot of issues, obviously, that go on that we talk about, but ultimately they are a business and they want to make money. And by killing off this big portion of the collectorate, I like to call it, I don't think would be wise. I don't think they would want to do that. Have you found any other Dominion or Legacy handmade collection figures out in the wild? I haven't really been to the store, honestly, lately, but no, I did review the Owen and Blue Pursuit pack. That was a fun review to do because I hadn't done a Jurassic 3¾ review in so long. So that was a fun one, but no, I haven't seen anything or been able to get anything else. Hello, Victoria, how you doing? Hope all is well. Hello, thank you for coming in, Action Figure Expert. Sorry, I don't like figuring Jan with G.I. Joe underpants. I think the shirt needs to cover the hips. Yeah. So again, that's one thing that I would point out as well, is that the hip, the legs, aren't 100%. That said, it's miles better than the last versions that came out. That doesn't mean that's not to say that we shouldn't strive for things being better. But if it's either make that concession or the figure doesn't happen, I think most collectors would say make the concession and make the figure happen. Really want to HasLab Cantina. I do too. That's my favorite scene ever since I was a kid. The Cantina scene has always been my favorite scene in all of Star Wars. A New Hope isn't necessarily my favorite Star Wars movie, but the Cantina scene is my favorite Star Wars scene. And I've been building out my Cantina scene since like 2003 or so. And I want to finish it. We need the Tonica sisters. Time for Tonica, you guys. Sign the petition if you haven't already. We're close to 1,500 signatures. I'll throw it down here in the description after we wrap here for today. I myself cannot wait for those vintage collection Mandos. Yeah, they look amazing. They look amazing. Love that Lando. Yeah, how can you not? He's freaking Lando. Darth Moore, welcome. I agree, Mr. Glover's amazing at playing young Lando. He is, and he's just amazing in general. I like that new Lando. I just wish the pattern on the shirt was front and back. It looks like it's only on the front. It does, and I too wish it was on front and back. I know they're utilizing a new kind of printing tech for the pattern. So I don't know why that it didn't work on the back. You would think that maybe if it makes it easier, you would use it on the back, but I have to think it's budgetary reasons. It's a little unfortunate because we're never going to get that figure again. But again, concessions sometimes have to be made in order for figures to exist. And sometimes that's just the decision it comes down to behind the scenes. I saw Shea Vizsla once in person back in the day, and I passed. Really? Really? You passed? In love with that Shea Vizsla. So good. Yeah, she looks amazing. Can't wait for Airborne Trooper. Got 4 pre-ordered. Only 4? I just love Mandos. I do too. Mandos are amazing. I was able to pre-order 2 of them. Chewie, I'm assuming. Awesome. It's a rifle. They had them on the show. The Mando, the bigger rifle. Cool. I need to finish rewatching Clone Wars. I started rewatching it a couple of months ago, and I only got through a few episodes. I need to continue watching it. It's so good. I love the Clone Wars. It's just some of the best Star Wars, honestly. I just love everything about it. Almost everything about it. They have the West Star pistols and West Star rifle. Yeah, lots of cool stuff. There were only a few. Most of Maul's ranks were filled with the regular Mandos as well as a female variant. Thank you, Ruler Randomness, for that question. Welcome to the live stream. That's good to know. I did ask that earlier, and I'm glad you're able to answer that for me. So yeah, okay. If there's more than one, I may need to go back and order some more of them then. Any excuse to order more toys. I'm gonna do it. There's a non-Commando Mandalorian we got a pipeline reveal for as well. Yeah, and I don't know if that's the season 7 one or not. That I'm not sure. Just have the kids order it for you. Whoever snags one gets extra credit. I have so many pre-orders. Yeah, who doesn't? Pre-orders at this point are just outrageously outstanding. Didn't get Chewie or the Death Trooper pack. Yeah, Death Trooper pack. Such a letdown. They really should have included their special DLT rifles as seen in Rogue One. I guess the set is cool for new collectors who want to army build them. Yeah, I can see that. If you're a new collector and you're building out your Death Troopers for the first time, then yeah, I can totally see, how they would be a good option. But even then, just the scopes, man, that little thing, the scopes should have been removed. Also, all Death Troopers have the web gear, so they stripped the gear off of 3. Yeah, do you think they will update TVC for Republic Commandos? Normally I would say no, but I think in this case there may be a good chance, and I say that because of the fact that we're seeing them in the Black Series. Yes, they did them in 3 3/4, not in the Vintage Collection, but they did do them in 3 3/4 a long time ago. And I think the fact that they are in Black Series is oftentimes a good indicator for the Vintage Collection. I don't necessarily think it always works the other way around, but in this case, I think that if you see something in the Black Series, that's usually a good indicator for TVC at some point down the line. So I can actually see those happening. You can make Pimp Bader, you give him the gold chain. I have exited the Black Series. 3 more on the way, but they're really going to have to wow me to buy another one. I want a Trap or Wolf TVC figure. Yeah, I mean, I would take it, but I'm not like clamoring for it either. I did get the Black Series one because it's Dave Filoni, but do I need it in TVC? I would take it, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't like bang the drum for it or anything. Figuring is my top want from this batch. What do you guys think? What is your top pick? What is the absolute best thing that they revealed during Fan First Wednesday? Let me know if you haven't already. I feel like we will be kickstarting figures these days. Yeah, maybe her the Tonica sisters. I'm really happy with the 4 female Rebel pilot figures that I've seen. Don't know if I should mention the site. What the policy in your channel for mentioning certain sites depends on the site. Start the new 96. Oh no, don't restart the 96. Let's finish them first, and then let's consider restarting them. Maybe, and even then, only like the best of the best of the best of the best characters and figures. Figures that still only have solo hips don't need to be in TVC, even as releases. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that it really depends on, it's a case-by-case basis. It depends on what the character does in the movie or in the show. Cantina aliens and Jabba's palace aliens were largely puppets. Many of them didn't even have legs. So I don't think they necessarily need to have ball-jointed hips. For example, it's a case-by-case basis. I don't think everything needs to be super articulated. That's my take. If I had to take one or the other, obviously articulate them. But if it comes down to budgetary decisions where they start using less detail on figures, you get less accessories, definitely give me the I'll take the swivel hips if it makes sense for those older figures. What did you think of the Bespin guards? I really like the Bespin guards. I'm excited for them. I'm really excited for them. I have the Cloud Car. I have Lobot. I have, obviously, I have the Lando. I can make a nice little scene with those. And I have the Legacy Collection ones, and they're nice too. But these are going to be even better. Greg, welcome. Wait, how have they not done a New Hope Vintage Collection Han, Luke, and Leia? So they did do Han in his ceremonial outfit, which was basically just a regular body and then a new head and the the metal. And they did do Luke in his Death Star escape outfit with the belt, but not like a proper, like, regular version of either one of them. Did you see all the new reveals for Jurassic today? The new multi-pack with Carno and the Dreadnoughtus? Yeah, I did see some of those pictures, and they're interesting. I don't know what to say about the Atrociraptor in that multi-pack. It doesn't look very good. The one that's like crouched over, it looks like that terrible crouching raptor that we got in 2018. But the smaller Carno is interesting too. Top Death Trooper. Top best or top worst? Yep, the Bith is my top pick. Has been on my list a long time. Justin says Mandalorian. Any Mandalorian was the best reveal for me. You see, awesome. Gotta love those Mandos. Should I hold out for Figure and Dan Ban or Sat or buy multiples of this one? This is what I did. I can't tell you what to do. This is what I did, Albert. I usually buy, okay, so at least one to keep carded, right? That's the one that I have that goes up on the wall. I then have, for this one, he comes with 3 unique instruments. So I personally bought 3 more in order to have one with each of the 3 instruments, because even though they said that there is a multi-pack coming, we don't know exactly what's going to be in it. We don't know if some of these instruments may or may not be in that pack. I'm playing it safe. And if worse comes to worse, I just end up with a couple extra band members. And I'm okay with that because I think it's a really cool figure. And I think it works in your Jabba's Palace diorama. It looks, if you're doing like a Mos Espa from Book of Boba Fett, you can put him in there. So I don't mind having extras. I do mind not having enough. And the fact that this figure comes with 3 instruments was enough for me to go ahead and pre-order 3 of them to open up. 1 to keep carded and 3 to open up, 1 for each of those instruments. That's my personal way of going about it. But do whatever it works for you, I would say. With all these mangoes, the Mandalorian that have been revealed this past year for TVC, I really regret never guessing this one Entertainment Earth pack with the 2 mangoes. Yeah, that one Entertainment Earth pack with the Mandalorian set was really cool. I actually did not get that set, but it was really cool. Hard choice, but the best reveal was Airborne Mando. Really excited to keep building out that Clone Wars Siege of Mandalore for sure. I'm excited about that for sure. Which species would you like to see more of as characters in Disney Plus? Ithorians. Well, we got an Ithorian in Book of Boba Fett, though. The mayor. I would say, I generally just like Ithorians, which is why I say that. But I guess I would also say maybe Rhodians. There's been a couple, but I noticed that when we see Rhodians these days, they always use like the newer design that has like a red face instead of a green face. I'd like to see just a classic green Rhodian. We've been seeing Aqualish. We've been seeing, you know what? Why don't we get more yak face species in Disney Plus? We haven't seen any since yak face proper, I don't think, in Return of the Jedi. So let's see more yak faces. Meant to say Dark Trooper. Yeah, cool. Yeah, there you go. That's acceptable, Milky Way Skywalker. We will take that. Well, cool. It looks like we are out of questions. So, all right. Well, fun stuff. I do have a couple other things I've recently added. I already showed Ahsoka earlier, the most recent re-release Ahsoka. So let me show a couple of things. And if any other questions come in, I'll take them in just a second. So even though I have pretty much, I would say roughly 90% of the modern figure line, I don't have everything, and I don't have all the vehicles. I have a lot of them. Most of them, probably. But I did miss a few things over the years. So I have gone back and gotten a couple of things. I recently picked up the Snowspeeder, Luke's Snowspeeder. This was released back in 2010, I think, or 11. And it also came out concurrently as a Target exclusive in the Vintage collection. And it was the same vehicle, just packed in TVC packaging. And if you go on eBay now, that one is like hundreds of dollars. But this is the same thing. And if you don't care about the box, then, you know, there's the Shadows of the Dark Side packaging. And so I finally have the updated Snow Speeder. So I'm really excited to have that. I finally have. I've never had a Snow Speeder. Actually, my brother had the Power of the Force one, which I think was a reissue of the Kenner one. So this is like my first like 3 3/4 inch Snow Speeder. So I'm excited to have that. I'm probably going to try and set it up this weekend. The other thing that I got recently, a couple weeks ago now, I've never had a B-Wing. I finally have a B-Wing in my collection. The Vintage Collection B-Wing Fighter. Yeah, this is cool. This is cool. This one I'm excited about. This one I can't wait to get on the shelf. Yes, I'm going to open it because I didn't buy it to keep boxed. I bought it because I didn't have a B-Wing, and this is the most accurate B-Wing in terms of the paint to Return of the Jedi. So, you know, I already had the figure, but I didn't have the B-Wing. So I'm really stoked to have this. Really stoked to have this. B-Wing, woohoo. So yeah, I'm probably going to set it up this weekend. And the back of the box kind of just looks the same. The B-Wing's always been a weird one because to me it never looked like a letter B. I mean, some people say, yeah, it kind of does. I see a letter T. Why isn't it called a T-Wing? T-Wing would make sense. This is not a B-Wing. It is a B-Wing, but it's not shaped like a B. It's still cool. Who cares? It's cool. It looks cool. Can't wait to get it on the shelf. So yeah, there's you know, that's the cool thing is that, you know, there's been so much made in this modern line. If you're a collector and a hobbyist and this is your thing, you know, Star Wars figure collecting is your jam, there's plenty to collect from over the years. You can always go back. Yeah, some of it is prohibitively expensive, but every once in a while, you know, you can get a deal if you're patient. And there's plenty of things that aren't too expensive that are worth adding to the collection. So that's one of the cool things about this line lasting for so long is that if you're missing stuff, you can always go back in the absence of new releases and go back and get some of that older stuff. Would you want figures of the Starliner characters? That's the Disney Hotel, right? I think, or is that the one from Book of Boba Fett? If it's Book of Boba Fett, what did we see? We saw like the Star Tours droid, and we saw some Rhodians on there. Yeah, I would take those. The hotel, though, I don't really know about those characters. Asked this earlier, but got skipped. Curious if you had been shamed for your hobby. If so, how did you handle it? Yeah, it's happened before. It's happened before. It's happened here on YouTube. It's happened on like other certain collecting websites or you know, even other somewhat prominent people in the collecting community that I maybe knew at one point or didn't even know at one point, would sometimes like try and start rumors, or they would try and say that I'm collecting for attention, which if you've been on YouTube like I have for 9 years and you're still doing it and you're still collecting stuff and you're just doing it for attention, it's kind of weird. I don't know who would do that. I love collecting because I just love collecting. Like I said earlier, if you've been doing it long enough, it's in your DNA and it's just something that makes you happy. It makes me happy. It makes my life better to collect and enjoy collecting. If I didn't enjoy collecting, I would give it up. There's other things that I could do. I could travel more. I could buy more hot toys. That'd be collecting, I guess. As far as being like just shamed for it, yeah, I've had people say, you know, they come onto YouTube channels that are about collecting toys to tell you shouldn't be collecting toys. Like, okay, first of all, what are you doing there? If you don't think people should be collecting toys, why are you going onto toy channels and watching their videos? Secondly, it's not really people's place. You know, there's people that like to go jet skiing, or they like to play golf, or they like to spend money gambling. And it's like, okay, it's not my problem. I do what makes you happy. If you're not hurting anybody else, you're enjoying it, it's making you happy, it's adding to your life and not taking away from it, then have fun, enjoy. As far as how you handle it, that's kind of tough. It just really depends. I mean, if you're on like me, I'm on YouTube. I've been on YouTube for 9 years. I've written for a bunch of sites. When I worked in the toy industry, when I worked for a company for 4 years, I even got it there because, I think some companies just aren't used to seeing like women in predominantly male businesses sometimes, or circles, or doing those kinds of things. So you do encounter it sometimes. And at this point, I don't even care, you guys. Like I said, I've been doing it for so long. I've had all kinds of stuff thrown at me on YouTube. I've had so many things happen, like, at this point, that it's just like, I'm at a point in my life where I don't even care. Just, if you're going to say something that says more about you than it does about me. And it's just like, sorry you feel that way. I'm just going to keep doing what I do. And, you're free to keep being miserable. I mean, that's really all it boils down to, is just kind of letting it just go in one ear and out the other. It's not to say that things never hurt when you read them, or things are never hurtful, but I think eventually you get to a point where you're just happy and content with yourself and confident enough in what you do and in who you are, that things like that just don't bother you quite as much. And I think you got to get to that place in order for it not to affect you quite as much, ultimately. Love that they redid the snow speeder in the correct scale. Brilliant. Yep, it is a really nice one. We need a Paz and Pre-Vizsla and a Tar Vizsla to go with that Shay and Wood B3 figures. Never done the Vizsla Legacy Horde Pack. That'd be cool. I'd buy that. The B-Wing is a cool ship, mainly because of how quirky it looks. It's a T-Wing. It's not a B-Wing. I don't care who says it's a B-Wing. It looks like a letter T. It should be called a T-Wing. That's all I'm saying. Oh, snap. I want that B-Wing. Nice. I've been meaning to pick up the B-Wing. I've always loved that vehicle design. It is fun. It is fun. It's not a letter B, though. It's supposed to be a lowercase b. No, it's not. How is it a lowercase b? What are you guys seeing that I'm not seeing here? Enlighten me. I don't see a lowercase b. I mean, maybe if I stretch it, like really like stretch it out, I mean, I guess I can kind of. No, I mean, I can't. I don't see the B. I see a letter T. I'm glad you guys see the B-Wing and are accepting of the B-Wing, but I'm accepting of it too, just not in terms of its name. It doesn't look like a B to me. It really doesn't. Keep the box or toss it. I'm going to toss it. If you want it, let me know. I don't want the box. I don't have room for stuff like that. If I'm buying a toy specifically to keep boxed, even if it's a vehicle, I'll keep it boxed. So I'm going to open it though. Why do I want the box? I'm going to throw it away. The wing looks like a blade. B for blade. That is okay. If that's the canon reason, that is silly. That's like saying that the X-Wing is canon because it looks like I can't even think of a word that starts with the letter X. Maybe that was a bad example. I think it's a B-Wing because it looks like the blade. B for blade. Grr. I was always curious about the B-Wing. Maybe it looks like a lowercase b and the wings are down. You guys are making my head spin here. Really wish we could start getting some of this stuff we pre-ordered. I'm really grumpy about the droid set in R2. Yeah, I know I posted it on Instagram, but I ordered mine from Bosk's Bounty helped me out and was able to get them for me in the UK and sent them to me. And, so grateful for his help because I'd still be waiting. And, if Target fulfills my orders, cool, I'll have openers. But I really wanted to make sure that I was going to get them and not miss them and not worry about, because you guys know how Target is sometimes. You guys know how Target is. They'll cancel stuff. Stuff will end up at Five Below. You never know. I'm sure I'll be collecting into my 80s. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I will, but as long as it makes me happy and it continues to give me something to get excited about, I'll keep doing it. When the day comes that it doesn't do that for me anymore, I'm okay with quitting. I mean, it's hard to say that, but I think if I get to that point, I'll be okay with that. That doesn't mean I have to get rid of everything I have. That just means that maybe I'll get to a point where I'll stop. And I can focus my energies on other things, which is cool because I'm not just a toy person. I'm a musician. I have my profession. I have so many other things I'm interested in. I love like classic, like golden age of Hollywood era films. Like that's one of my favorite things to do is watch old movies. I love like certain like golden age Hollywood stars. I am again really into music. I have so many other hobbies and other things that I like there's so many things that could keep me busy if I wasn't collecting toys. So if the day ever comes that I'm not having fun or it's not doing it for me anymore, then I think I could stop and I could maybe let quite a few things go. I don't see that being anytime in the next 10 years or so, but I think I've seen a lot of people get to that point where they are okay with quitting and letting things go. So if it happens, I'm sure I'll find other things to keep busy with. I passed the watch to my kid Pico B1. I'm with you, tell him to. Yeah. Till I pass the watch to my kid. That's funny. Good attitude to have towards the haters and unconstructive critics. Thank you. That's what I like about you and your channel. You can tell who is the candy flues and who is the genuinely interested. Yeah. Like you guys here in the chat are like awesome. You guys are always supportive and encouraging. And that's why I do this kind of stuff for. I don't make videos and stuff for myself just to do it. If I'm able to share that with other people and make connections with other people through this, and that's what it's all about for me. BC is the best canteen on YouTube. Haters gonna hate. Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you. Too sweet. I know this isn't about Star Wars, but what are your opinions on the new Mattel Jurassic World Dominion toys? So I only have the one set that I reviewed, and I actually really liked it. Some of the stuff looks good. Some of the stuff does not look good. Some of this, like the Legacy Collection, like wave of the little dinos, some of them are missing paint apps and they just don't look too great. Like I'm excited about the Hammond collection stuff. I'm excited about the Legacy Collection, like the Roland Timbo with his vehicle, the Tim and Lex set. That's the kind of stuff that I love. But I'm not going to collect everything for Jurassic this time around. I did that almost 100%, not 100%, but very close to it the first go around. And I'm not going to do that this time. There's just no room for that. Got to prioritize. Action figure expert. Have the cockpit on the bottom and the wings on top. It's shaped like a lowercase b. No, it's not. Oh, man. I'm going to be dreaming about the X-Wing, about the B-Wing now. When you close the wings and put the cockpit at the bottom, it looks like a lowercase b. You guys just aren't going to let this go, are you? If you connect the top to the bottom in vertical flight, it looks like a butterfly. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh, you guys. You're inundating me with B-Wing ideas. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying that I don't agree with them. It doesn't look like a bee. Oh, my God. Did you toss the barge box? No. Let me restate. Unless it's a HasLab, I will throw away the box. I kept the barge box. I kept the Razor Crest box. If there are any further HasLabs, I will keep those boxes too. Everything else, recycling bin. Toss the box, sacrilege. Well, I just don't have room. That's the thing. If I had a warehouse or an endless big mansion with a lot of rooms, I would not do that. But I don't have that at all. If you drew the arcs, hold on a second here. All right. I'll let you guys. Oh my goodness. Here's another one. Supersaurus. I quit miniature gaming. It wasn't fun for me. The more money for figures. Yep, you gotta prioritize what makes you happy. If it's doing it for you, keep doing it. If it's not, there's no shame in letting. I mean, these are hobbies. They're not essential to to our contributions to society, really. So I mean, maybe they kind of are, like if you're doing content and stuff, but yeah, if it's not doing it for you, there's other things to do for sure. What are you looking forward to at Celebration? I'm worried about not getting into panels. I don't know if I'm going to do panels. I usually, when I go to Comic Con or any of these events, I don't usually do panels. I mostly go to look at toys and stuff and interact with like Hasbro and stuff. And any of the companies that I like and support. But uh, yeah, I'll be there. I hope to see some stuff. I don't know exactly what. I don't even know. Is the panel schedule out? I haven't even looked. I know that I got an email today saying that there are going to be some more celebrities doing like signings and stuff. So I need to look at that because I may want to meet like Carl Weathers or something. I think he's going to be there. I think that'd be pretty cool. I found those 2 sets today at Target. Very nice. Did they sell them to you? I know they're register locked. I think it's awesome that you are so into it, BC, passionate about it. Too cool. Thank you. The real world reason it was labeled Ship B in the concept art and the name stuck. True story. Okay, well, that I can see. Ship B. Ship A, Ship B, Ship C, and we don't have good enough of a name for the B wing other than B wing, so let's stay with B wing. T wing. I'm telling you guys, it looks like a letter T. Should have been the T wing. I want to hear more theories about what the B in viewing stands for. Wrong live stream. Wait, did you also toss the boxes that had dioramas inside of them? I hope we at least kept those. You mean like this, right? I'm assuming like this kind of. Oh no, oh yeah, this one kind of does too. Yeah, I don't keep that. I don't have room for that one. Like again, if you guys want any of that stuff, you gotta let me know. I don't keep those boxes. I cut the tape on all sides of the box, flying them out. It's an old trick, but it helps you want to keep the boxes. Yeah, I don't want to keep the boxes. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid as much clutter as I can. I've collected so much over the years that if it's something that isn't really essential, isn't really needed, then I let it go. The boxes that are open, I don't need this for any reason, honestly. I don't plan to sell those toys. I don't plan to put them back in the boxes. With vehicles, a lot of the time you got to assemble them. And once you assemble them, you can't put them back in the boxes unless you take them all apart and, risk breaking things sometimes. So I don't need the boxes. I just recycle them. I don't throw them away. Let me restate. I recycle them. They go back, and then Hasbro makes more boxes with them one day, I hope. I used to keep all the boxes, and it begins to look like a storage unit full of empty boxes if it's not worth keeping. Unless something like HasLab or maybe variants. Yeah, for sure. HasLab, again, I do keep HasLab boxes because it's HasLab, and it's not like I can just go run out to the store and buy another one. They didn't sell the Dominion toys on shelf though. Oh, they let you buy them? That's cool. I haunted Hasbro in Chicago. I'm sure they just wanted me to go away. I got to meet Mark Bucket List for me. Mark Boudreau. That's awesome. I've been to Comic-Con so many times, and I know he's usually been there, and like by the time I get there, he's gone. Like either because he left for the day or because he left the day before. I've never been able to meet the guy, and now that he's retired, I probably never will. And I know he had been sick, is what I had heard. So I hope he's in good health and that everything is okay with Mark, because obviously he's a legend. He's responsible for so much of what we enjoy about this Star Wars collecting hobby, and I just hope he's okay. You should make a drinking game whenever someone mentions that a viewing is called. Yeah, let's not do that. We don't want to go there. Keeping boxes means less space for new figures. Exactly. This guy gets it. Vintage style boxes stick around. I don't keep everything either. Like a lot of interior packaging from Clone Wars and Legacy is, yeah, like that one. The snow speeder. Yeah, they're cool. I take them out. I look at them like, oh, that's pretty. Maybe I'll put it behind the vehicle for 5 seconds and be like, okay, That's what it looks like. And then I'll take it out to the recycling and put it in the bin. And that's it. That's all I need to do with it. All right. Guys, this has been fun. I really appreciate everybody that's been hanging out with me this evening. We've had a lot of lots of questions and comments, most of them about B-Wings, but lots of comments nonetheless. We got to look at all of the new reveals from Hasbro Star Wars for Fan First Wednesday. We got to talk about how lousy the Death Trooper pack is. We got to talk about how awesome everything else is in TVC that was revealed. And about some of my new acquisitions and how the fact that Ahsoka now has a green lightsaber and a yellow lightsaber, the repacked Ahsoka that just came out. So lots of good stuff. I appreciate you guys as always. Next week is kind of up in the air. I'm hoping to do a live stream, but because it is a holiday weekend, I may not be able to. But if all works out, we'll be here again, probably at the same time, 8 p.m. Pacific time. And gosh, time has flown by. We're at 1 hour and 40 minutes. So again, thanks to everybody who's been in here from the beginning to the end, or even for 5 seconds, and then they left because we're talking about B-Wings or whatever. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I love the interactivity. I love the connections we make through this community and chatting and hanging out and having fun. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, having fun, making friends, and having a good time. And I think through this hobby, we're all able to do that. So thanks for making my Friday nights and for spending time with me. Again, hit the like button if you can. If you're not subscribed to the channel, certainly encourage you to do that. I'm working on content for some of my setups on my shelves. I hope to have a video up on Monday. If you follow me on Instagram, then you got a preview of that earlier in the week. Or was it last week? I don't even remember. The days just blur, you guys. But happy Friday. Have a good weekend, everybody. May the force be with you. This is the way, no matter where you're tuning in from out in the galaxy. Thank you for tuning into Cantina Social Hour. I will see you very soon. Be well, be safe, take care, and keep collecting.